Under the warm coastal sun of Santa Marta, Colombia, the air hums with quiet anticipation. Inside the summit hall, the flags of Latin American and European nations ripple gently above a sea of suited diplomats. Cameras flash as leaders file into the room. Gustavo Petro of Colombia, Antonio Costa of the European Council, Kaja Kallas representing the European Union, and Uruguay's Foreign Minister Mario Lubetkin. This is the opening of the CELAC-EU summit, and already its tone carries more weight than expected. The focus is sharp, a joint statement rejecting the use of force in the Caribbean. No country is named, yet everyone knows who it refers to. Recent US operations in regional waters have stirred tension, and now two continents are preparing to say firmly that power must yield to law. As the leaders settle behind their microphones, Kaja Kallas leans forward slightly. The room quiets. Her words, clear and measured, fill the hall. Unchecked aggression only breeds more aggression, she says. And we are all responsible for standing up to international law and creating the conditions for a just and lasting peace. Kallas's tone is calm but unmistakably firm, a diplomatic rebuke wrapped in civility. She speaks not of confrontation but of accountability, echoing Europe's deep concern over escalating conflicts not only in the Caribbean but across the globe. Antonio Costa nods quietly beside her, and to her left, President Gustavo Petro listens with folded hands. When his turn comes, he rises slowly, speaking first in Spanish, then repeating the key lines in English for the press. We insist, persist, and deepen the notion that multilateralism means that diverse nations, diverse cultures, I would even say diverse civilizations, come together to solve common problems. His words draw respectful applause. It is a message that blends conviction with urgency. For Petro, multilateralism is not a slogan, but a survival strategy for smaller nations in a world of great power rivalries. Beyond the hall, Santa Marta's palm-lined avenues gleam in the tropical light. The Caribbean breeze carries with it an echo of history, centuries of intervention, resistance, and renewal. Inside, the speeches continue, careful and precise. Yet beneath the formality lies a shared unease about unilateral military actions, sovereignty, and the fragile balance of global peace. The statement being drafted avoids direct reference to the United States, but its meaning is impossible to miss. It condemns the use of force inconsistent with international law and calls for collective adherence to peaceful solutions. For many Latin American leaders, the moment feels vindicating, a rare opportunity to speak as equals before Europe, not as subordinates of Washington's policies. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva arrives mid-session, his presence immediately commanding attention. Lula, long an advocate of South-South diplomacy, sees the summit as part of a larger movement, one where Latin America helps redefine global power structures instead of merely reacting to them. Soon after, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez joins, greeting his Colombian host with a handshake. For Sánchez, the symbolism of this meeting is crucial, proof that Europe can build partnerships beyond the shadow of traditional geopolitical blocs. The dialogue turns toward broader themes, the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, the global energy transition, and the perils of climate change. Yet every topic circles back to the same moral anchor, international law. Kallas reminds the delegates that rules must not bend according to convenience. Our position is clear, she says. Any action that violates sovereignty undermines the collective efforts for peace. Petro follows with a sharper edge. We cannot defend democracy by violating its principles. Our responsibility is to protect peace through dialogue, not domination. The applause that follows is longer this time, a reflection of shared frustration at the contradictions of global politics. In the corridors outside, journalists compare notes. The absence of several key leaders is noted. Only 9 heads of state are in attendance, but their limited number does not diminish the weight of the declaration. For those present, this is a symbolic act of unity, one that challenges the notion that Latin America must silently follow the strategic course set by others. Meanwhile, Antonio Costa stresses cooperation over confrontation. We have common challenges, climate, migration, social justice, but also common opportunities. Together, we can show that democracy and cooperation are stronger than division. His remarks underline the EU's growing recognition that Latin America's role is no longer peripheral. It is central to questions of energy, sustainability, and moral authority on the world stage. The discussions stretch into the late afternoon. Delegates shuffle papers, translators whisper in half a dozen languages, and behind the polished podiums, the old fault lines between North and South seem, if only briefly, to soften. The summit's final communiqué, being prepared for release, emphasises two principles: respect for sovereignty and commitment to peaceful dialogue. No state should impose its will by force. Petro's closing remarks capture the day's spirit. We cannot condemn violence in one hemisphere and justify it in another. Justice must be universal, or it ceases to be justice. The room falls into thoughtful silence before the applause resumes, softer now, but more profound. As night descends over the Caribbean coast, the leaders gather for a brief photo session. The sea glimmers in the background, serene, indifferent, eternal. Inside, the words exchanged today will ripple far beyond these shores. For the first time in years, Latin America and Europe have spoken in unison, not merely about trade or aid, but about the principles that hold the world together. From the marble hallways of the summit to the dimly lit streets outside, there is a sense that something subtle yet significant has shifted. The statement from Santa Marta will not rewrite history overnight, but it has redrawn the moral lines of international engagement. Two continents divided by oceans but joined by conviction have chosen to remind the world that peace, not power, must be the measure of civilization. And as the cameras fade and the delegates depart into the humid Colombian evening, the echo of their message lingers still. Force divides, law unites. In a time of wars and widening distrust, Santa Marta has offered a reminder that diplomacy, however fragile, remains humanity's strongest defense against chaos.